Yo, welcome to Hard Pass. I am your host, Jacques Slade. It's the show that likes to think we set the UNC social team straight after we kind of teased them about the Moonlight Fives last week. Okay, I see you, Tar Heel crew. I see your PEs and raise you my GR versions that don't have the UNC logo. Wow, that might be the hardest L I've taken on this show. Ouch. Let's start with some hot takes. NBA basketball is almost back, and to no one's surprise, I'm absolutely pumped for my 17-time world champion Los Angeles Lakers to compete for number 18. Woo! Let's go! AD seems like he's healthy. Russ has bought in. Then we have Melo, and he is hungry to get a ring. KG might end up disowning Rondo like he did Ray Allen if Rondo wins another championship. Dwight doesn't know how HIPAA works. Shout out to those Kobe 4s though. LeBron is fully vaxxed. I can't make fake Kuzma trades anymore. Yeah, let's do this. Did we trade THT for Ben Simmons yet? I'm ready. All right, in this week's edition of PJ Tucker's Sneakers versus the World segment, reigning NBA MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo declared that he was the new shoe king in Milwaukee.
PJ, I'm the new shoe king in Milwaukee now.
I mean, PJ Tucker was there for like half a season, and he's now in Miami getting into what I'm assuming will only be philosophical sneaker arguments with Jimmy Butler. It's like when Smokey says he's got mind control over Debo. Giannis be quiet when PJ's around, but when he leaves, he be talking. Rest in peace, Tiny Lister, by the way. One of the greats. Another Milwaukee Bucks adjacent content. Props to Robin Lopez for being the first person ever to make me not bang my head against the wall when he said he didn't believe it and that he was still doing his own research after being asked about his brother, Brooke, winning a championship last season. I guess you can make uncomfortable things funny. Not sure what all these clowns on Twitter whining about comedy are even talking about. Even though I am a San Francisco 49ers fan, I have to give it up to Jordan Brand for lacing up Dak Prescott with some very cool Air Jordan 11 PE cleats this past weekend. Looks like someone's gonna have to update that Cowboy fan starter pack for next season and replace the Flint 13s with neutral gray ones because those 11s, they ain't popping up anytime soon. Gotta keep those John Cena jorts and those alternate Dak jerseys though. Those are untouchable. And speaking of neutral grays, Michael Jordan wore a pair of the lows to the Ryder Cup this past week. Oh, sound the alarm. Tell the blogs, make the memes. Now everybody's going to jump on the neutral gray bandwagon, or just keep it moving like we don't already know these are cool in the black and white pair of dunks bland kind of way because they fit with seemingly every outfit. But do you? Earlier this week, Sneakers did a shock drop of the University Gold Off-White Air Force One that quickly sold out because of course it did. I was one such person who took an L that day, which must mean I am that much closer to getting a hit. That's if we are to believe Nike CEO John Donahoe, but more on that later. Quick Kanye update. He wore Nike gloves, got rid of a Chris Brown feature on Donda, and so does Puffy Gap hoodies. 1 out of 3 is not the best percentage, but we'll take that one any day. Salehi Bembury's latest New Balance collab is a Yurt 574 that comes with the whistle in the back. Why? Because why not, as Russell Westbrook would probably ask. Yeah, I agree with Complex Sneakers crew. Somebody is absolutely going to turn this into a bong or something else Reed related. Who knows? But I am absolutely here for it. Note, if you're watching this in a state that still likes to throw black people in jail for minor weed offenses in numbers disproportionate to the population and with sentences far too cruel relative to the crime, we're going to edit this part out of the video. Like how podcasts can now do with regional ads. You know what? Nah, we're not going to do that. Let's just do better, people. So, I'm not entirely sure where I heard this first, and Google wasn't really a big help, but you know the thought that the less you hear from your leaders, the better? Like, you don't really want to scroll through social media or fire up the TV to hear a president or a CEO of a company yapping on and incessantly every day, do you? You kind of want to know that they're doing their job to the best of their abilities and that they're alive, and every few weeks or months or so you hear about how things are going, and that's it. When even the worst people are telling you to shut up and the best are like, yeah, The scumbag is making a point. Maybe you, the leader, should consider that. Now, whether the news is good or bad or excused to one side politically or not is up to your interpretation, but I think most people just kind of want to know what the deal is, what the stakes are, and that they will be doing what they can to address it. Which brings me to Nike CEO John Donahoe. Now, sneaker CEOs tend to not really get a ton of publicity unless their name is Kanye West, and while he isn't a CEO, he projects like he's one, which, good for him, I guess. Anyways, I've seen former Nike CEO Mark Parker in person, and I've heard him talk on a number of occasions. I couldn't tell you what he sounded like. He was just the boss for a very long and successful time at the swoosh. John Donahoe, on the other hand, already has multiple quotes from one investor call that I'd like to think he would walk back if he had the chance. The first was about the sneakers exclusive access program, which in ideal circumstances gives users an unfettered opportunity to grab a highly sought after pair, the most recent being the 50 lots of off-white dunks. According to Complex Sneakers, he said, "This approach sends personalized purchase offers to members based on their engagement with sneakers, past purchase attempts, and other criteria using data science to drive digital member targeting. For example, 90% of the invites for the off-white dunks went to members who had lost out on a prior off-white collaboration over the past 2 years." Man, that is a whopper of a cap right there. Okay, maybe he's not lying and he has the actual data to back it up. But that does not give anybody who has missed out on the dunks any solace. The people airing their grievances don't care that 90% of the people who scored the dunks are the ones who missed out on off-whites previously. They also don't care if the remaining 10% are repeat customers. Okay, maybe they kind of care, but not as much as the fact that they are not one of the 90% who got off-whites for the first time or one of the 10% who got to re-up. It doesn't matter to them that John thinks exclusive access has leveled the playing field. They care that exclusive access gives them a chance all the time. That flies in the face of the concept of limited edition releases because not everybody is going to get a pair. But again, that shouldn't be our problem. That should be Nike and Donahoe's problem to fix without getting daily updates or transcripts from investor calls. Then there's the second quote that got a little less play but should nevertheless help us understand what this is really all about. In that same call, Donahoe said that the off-white dunks ended up in the hands of hundreds of thousands of our most deserving members, creating what we call exclusivity at scale. And this improved consumer experience has a positive impact on the entire business. We've seen that those who benefited from exclusive access on sneakers spend more, fueled by the energy of the win. Whew. Okay. When he says hundreds of thousands of their most deserving members, they really need to do a better job of explaining what that means besides tapping on stuff on the app. What makes one sneakerhead more deserving than the other? What if they both meet the deserving criteria and only one gets a pair? If this is the route that Nike is choosing to go down, they need to be even more transparent with their process, right down to where exactly on the screen a kid needs to tap in order to unlock exclusive access. Will it be exclusive if that's the case? Nope. But again, it's not our problem to tackle. It's Nike and Donahoe's. Then there's the second half of that quote that really rubs people the wrong way. Like, of course people are amped when they win on sneakers, and that motivates them to come back for more the next time a limited release pops. But it's more than that. Maybe that win will lead to them buying Nike socks or a Nike hoodie or other swoosh branded gear. It kind of paints us as easily impressionable children who beg for more after getting lucky one time, which is human nature. We get it, but we also don't like to hear it. Oh, and here's a bonus quote that just elicited the deepest of sighs. I had a sneakers win this morning on the Nocta line, the vest. I'm excited. It's a great collection. Anytime you win on sneakers, it's a jolt. I was in the middle of my workout in one of our gyms here on campus. I stopped the workout at 7 a.m. to see if I won, and I won. So I'm pumped about that. Sure you did, John. Sure you did. It's the Heat Check, where we bring you everything that's dropping this week. Guys, take a wild guess which ones we've already featured here in this segment, but are popping up again because of delays. We have the Jordan Zion 1 Let's Dance on the 6th for $120. We have the Jordan Air May in the Celestine Blue, that's on the 6th for $180. The Nike Dunk Low Georgetown on the 8th for $100. The Palace Adidas Ultra Boost 21 on the 8th. The Reebok Question Pink Toe on the 8th as well. The Nike Dunk High Championship Navy on the 8th for $110. The Adidas Yeezy 500 High Miss Stone on October 10th. Wow, Dunk's getting delayed. I'm shocked, I tell you. Absolutely shocked. We also have the Simpsons Adidas McCartan Ned Flanders on the 4th for 120. This might be the most unheat checked sneaker we've ever featured in this segment. And that's saying something considering we post those basic dunk colorways all the time. But the Flanders inspiration is strong with this one. Wait, am I mixing up my Star Wars and Simpsons metaphors? Damn you, Disney Plus. By the way, I just noticed that part of the marketing for this is that Adidas is calling Flanders their favorite lefty. James Harden is somewhere wondering where it all went wrong here. We have the Klotz Sakai Nike LD Waffle Kiss of Death 2 on the 7th. Quick heads up, Klotz Edison Chin confirmed this release date, but it might just be for his own Klot and Juice stores overseas. We'll see if it holds up soon and if we get a simultaneous drop on sneakers the same day. Hope you've been taking a lot of L's lately because that seems like to be the only way we're going to actually grab this pair. Then we have the women's Air Jordan 5 Bluebird on the 7th for $190. There have been a number of shoes I've seen through the years that I thought could have been a Twitter collab, and this is yet another example of that. Of course, I get why you wouldn't want to collab with a social media platform right now or anytime after 2015, but it's still a nice baby blue color. That counts for something, right? It has to. We have the NBA Nike Dunk Low EMB Diamond Anniversary on the 8th. Even though we've seen leaks of these for a few months now, the NBA hasn't really been doing a great job in promoting the league's 75th anniversary. At the same time, I'm still not sure what exactly the inspiration is for this colorway, other than it helps me paint a picture of what a flipped pair of Black Toes 1s would look like. We have the ESPN Adidas Top 10 High Sports Center on the 10th for $100. In 1979, both ESPN and the Adidas Top 10 made their debuts, so pairing the two brands on the sneaker that replicates the old school Sports Center vibe only makes sense. And then my pick of the week is the Nike Air Trainer 3 Saquon Barkley on the 8th for $140. I mean, we dedicated a whole segment to this classic silhouette getting a modern update and a new star to carry its legacy. It's only fair that we give it our pick of the week as well. All right. And now for a heat check on the Adidas TRAE Young 1, which debuted this weekend in an icy colorway, which, you know, is Ned Flanders level of inspired. We've had previews and on-cart looks for the TRAE 1s for some time now, so it'll be nice to get our hands and feet on a pair soon enough. But let's talk about TRAE for a second here and what he means for the future of Adidas basketball. Simply put, he is the future of Adidas basketball. That might be a lot of pressure to hand off to a dude in his 4th year in the league with just one brand new signature shoe to his name, but that's reality. TRAE Young represents the three stripes' best chance at having a signature shoe and a signature athlete that transcends the game since James Harden tried and, well, James Harden tried. And now he's on the Brooklyn Nets with two guys who overshadow him in the signature shoe department. Even if Harden wins a ring and is more valuable and dependable for the Nets than Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, I can't see the Harden Volume 6 being the pair that raises his profile higher. And this is not a knock at Harden or Damian Lillard or Donovan Mitchell or even Derrick Rose, but we already know their ceilings in their signature shoe world. Harden had the red carpet treatment out the gate with a giant Adidas truck arriving at his doorstep with a bazillion sneakers and a signature shoe debut that I think holds up to his masterpiece claim, but I'm not so sure that the rest of the sneaker buying public agrees with that sentiment. Dame Lillard might be the modern day people's champion, but you'd be hard pressed to find any Adidas Dames out there on the streets unless you live in Portland, Oakland, or wherever Weber State is. I'm just kidding. Weber State, I know you're a public university in Ogden, Utah with a student body of 26,681 and an administrative staff of 820 and $150 million endowment in 2020. Thanks, Wikipedia. Anyways, Donovan Mitchell plays for the Utah Jazz. That's pretty self-explanatory, even if Dwayne Wade is the co-owner there now. And Derrick Rose, well, he's Derrick Rose, backup point guard of the New York Knicks. Unless Kemba Walker gets hurt, then he's Derrick Rose, starting point guard of the New York Knicks. I think the world is just waiting for his Yeezy collab at this point, to be honest. Anyway, so it's up to TRAE to lift the three stripes in the same way that Steph Curry does for Under Armour, what LaMelo Ball aims to do for Puma. The last actual transcendent player Adidas really had was the late Kobe Bryant, and he wasn't there long enough to keep the momentum going. And the most recent Adidas basketball sneaker to grab the attention of the people wasn't even something from their current crop of actual signature athletes. It was Kanye's Yeezy Quantum, and you rarely even see them on the court. If TRAE can keep the Atlanta Hawks in contention, parlay the connection he has with the city with colorways like the Peachtree, the So-So Death, and the 1996 Olympics edition into even more exposure, then he has a chance. The shoes themselves at first glance are kind of hard to differentiate from Dawn Issue 3 and the Harden Volume 6, but it's early enough in the life cycle of that sneaker that we can give it the benefit of the doubt for now. I give the Adidas Trae Young 1 7 disrespectful waves in front of the Madison Square Garden crowd out of 10 even more disrespectful bows. It's time for this week's Hard Pass, where we take a look at something in the culture that just needs to go, like Nintendo. No, we're not shutting down Nintendo because they are Nintendo and they still do cool and amazing things, but my goodness, they really tried to get on my bad side this past week and a half with 3 bits of news that were just, man, I don't know what they were thinking. So let's break this up into 3 segments. First, we've got the recently released Animal Crossing New Horizons Puma collaboration. If you're not familiar with Animal Crossing, it's a long-running Nintendo franchise that is about as saccharine a video game you can get these days without having Disney characters running around. Although, you could get Disney gear in the game if you had the time and patience to create the clothes and equip them at the Able Sisters shop. So, yeah, Animal Crossing was the video game of 2020. I'm not saying it was the best video game of 2020, Yakuza Like a Dragon, but it was the game that helped gamers cope with 2020 the most with its idyllic island vibes. New Horizons felt like a never-ending vacation where you could hang out, catch bugs, dive for scallops, and build a fence around Rodney's house so he'll move out. Man, Rodney was and still is the worst. I tried everything and he wouldn't leave. Why can't he take a hit? Anyways, Animal Crossing was such a hit that people tried all sorts of creative ways to bond over it, whether it was streaming with friends on Twitch or building an entire talk show with the limited toolset. It made the Switch a hot commodity again and spawned a ton of merch and collabs, which obviously made Nintendo shareholders happy. But it's been over a year since the release of New Horizons, and the content updates, well, they've been scarce. I'll admit that I haven't thought about the game all that much in 2021, and I don't know what it would take to get me back to my island. Although a launch Rodney to the Moon DIY recipe when I log in again would be very nice. So, look, when I heard that Puma was doing a collaboration with Animal Crossing the night before it launched, I had mixed feelings. On the one hand, the timing fell off since the game had taken a dive in popularity, save for the hardcore audience that still checks in every day. But on the other hand, I would absolutely buy any and all Puma merch that has Tom Nook on it, even if he is capitalism run amok, and would probably order a hit on my ass if I decided not to pay back my loan. My frustration is from the lack of coverage by the sneaker news outlets. Like, if co-writer, the real one, was still working at he would have turned the site into an Animal Crossing hub and hyped it up to the heavens and called it the best sneaker collab of 2021. Off-Whites? Trash. Cactus Jack? Cactus who? Fragments? Nah, man. Why couldn't we have a sneaker shopping episode with Joe LaPuma talking to a CGI Isabel about the sneakers that she would give a 5-star rating? I don't want to talk about creases on those same sneakers every week. I want arguments about what kind of sneakerhead KK Slider would be, and if we can get an Air Jordan 1 Dodo Airlines featuring my guys Orville and Wilbur. This should have been a bigger deal, sneaker blogs. Stop with your make Jordan 1 mids cool again agenda and get on the Animal Crossing train. Plane. It is an island after all. The second Nintendo gaffe that made my head spin was from their Nintendo Direct presentation. Actually, there's 2 things, but let's start with the sillier one. Yo, did they really hire Chris Pratt to do the voice of Mario for the upcoming big budget Super Mario animated movie? And Keegan-Michael Key as Toad? And Seth freaking Rogen as Donkey Kong? What? Hold on. I have so many thoughts on this. Nintendo has famously been hesitant to allow outside productions to handle their most beloved properties. Now, I know what you're about to say. Well, what about Metroid? Like I said, Nintendo's most beloved properties. You love Metroid, I love Metroid, American gamers love Metroid, but Nintendo couldn't care less about Metroid. Let's be real. We're the ones keeping Samus alive, and if the upcoming Metroid Dread tanks, it might be lights out for her. Anyways, back to the batshit insanity of the Mario movie. With Hollywood relying so much on adapting existing intellectual property these days, I'm sure you've wondered why it's taken so long for Nintendo to get with the program and turn their popular characters into movie stars. Well, it's because the last time Hollywood did a crack at Mario, Luigi, and the rest of the crew, the movie was so bad it scared Nintendo off of the big screen for almost 30 years. Now, I personally love the 1993 Super Mario movie on a totally ironic level, but I don't think that's what they were going for. Anyways, between the opening of Super Nintendo World and Universal Studios Japan recently, and Mario and the NES popping up in Legos, we're finally seeing Nintendo spread their wings a bit. But really, Star-Lord is Mario and Charlie from It's Always Sunny is Luigi? Are they gonna sound like Star-Lord and Charlie from It's Always Sunny? Will it be bad stereotypical Italian accents that get this movie canceled before it even drops? Charles Martinet, the actual voice of Mario in the video games, is actually going to do a cameo in the movie, but they couldn't have let him do movie Mario too? It's like we're destined to make the same mistakes again 30 years later, Nintendo. I mean, I could be wrong, and the movie will be hilarious on a kids and adult nerd level, but it's not a great first impression for the leads. I will say though, Jack Black as Bowser is about as perfect a casting as it gets. If I were Nintendo, I'd sign on Lil Nas X to play Bowser Jr. just to get people riled up on the other side. And finally, the thing that is actually annoying, Nintendo thinking they can sell us Nintendo 64 controllers for $50 in 2021 and being right about it. So, during the Direct, Nintendo also announced that they will be expanding their classic games lineup as a part of the expansion pack to their online service. It will include iconic titles from Nintendo 64 like Super Mario 64, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and others, along with Sega Genesis classics like Sonic the Hedgehog, Gunstar Heroes, and many more. The hook for people who already have these games from the dozens of times Nintendo and Sega have offered them in the other retro collections is that some of the titles will have online play, which means the dream of a legit Mario Kart 64 online is finally a reality. There is a very particular generation of gamers that is geeked by this possibility, namely the ones who grew up playing Mario Kart 64 with their friends in high school and in college dorms. And that's very cool. Until they announced that they would also be bringing back the Nintendo 64 controller, aka the worst mainstream video game controller ever made. Yes, even worse than the Duke on the original Xbox or the pre-Wavebird GameCube controller or the pre-DualShock PlayStation controller. Yes, I made a point to mention all three companies because I don't want to risk offending the fanboys on each side. They've all made mistakes, people. Deal with it. The Nintendo 64 controller is a hot mess. Influential? No doubt. Worked perfectly for a very specific type. Sure, if you love Star Wars Racer, the N64 controller was amazing. But for basically everything else, it was bad. It didn't matter if you had the Nintendo branded ones or the Fugazi Mad Catz knockoffs. At some point, you were going to ruin the alignment of that analog stick, randomly erase a memory card without warning, or annoy a left-handed buddy who couldn't make sense of how to hold it. That being said, do I think the controller will sell out instantly? Absolutely, it's nostalgia, baby. Casual fans who haven't touched a video game since college and have kids now with Nintendo Switches will hear this news and think it'll be cool to relive those days playing the N64. Twitch streamers who have never had the experience of blowing onto a cartridge to make the game work will buy these controllers and make fun of it for being so old. And of course, opportunistic resellers will gobble them up in the hopes of cashing in like their PS5s or Xbox Series X's. They don't know or have forgotten the pain of using the yellow C buttons to move the camera in Mario 64. Sure, Z triggering to lock on to enemies made Ocarina of Time a flawless experience, but you know what else would have made it better? Having an extra analog stick to aim and shoulder buttons to remap everything. I understand that the N64 controller had to crawl for the DualShock and everything that came after it to flourish, but it doesn't mean we need to bring it back to make us all hate it over again. And it looks like they are making some quality of life changes to the controller, such as adding a ZR button and some added features on the Switch controller so they are on par. And if they can make the analog stick not feel like a delicate flower that will wilt after an intense Mario Party minigame, then maybe there is hope. Personally, some things just need to stay in the past, like the Nintendo 64 controller, the Air Jordan 15, and Tom Nook capitalism. Oh, can't wait for the comments on that one. Anyway, before we go, I just want to give another hard pass to our take last week about the Yeezy Knit Runner. You know, the bit where we were like positive about the shoes and even compared it to an iconic sneaker like the Nike Flyknit Racer and whatnot. I just want to take this time to retract that whole bit and say we were full of We've seen photos of them that aren't pretty photoshops, and man, wow, those are not pretty, like at all. So an honorary buzzer-beating hard pass to Knit Runner. You deserve it. You deserve it. All right, that's going to do it for the show today. Thank you guys for watching Hard Pass. I am Jacques Slade. We'll be taking a short break from the show, so we'll see you in a bit, but not before I show you this routine that the co-writer and I have been practicing for a while now. Wow, I've never actually seen it played back. That's really something. It's a long story, and I'll explain next time. Love you. Mean it. Peace.